Alright class, so in this video, Transformations Part 2, we're going to start with translations and then we're going to do a bunch of combinations of things. So f of x minus a moves the graph of f of x a units to the right. Once again, it's minus a on the inside and it's the opposite of what you think. It's not a to the left, it's a to the right. F of x plus a would move things a units left. And then f of x plus a, that's on the outside, so it does exactly what it looks like. F of x plus a moves the graph of f of x a units up, and then f of x minus a on the outside would you move it a units down. Okay, so I'm going to take the same graph that we had last time in the last video, and we're going to do a couple of translations and such. Okay, so the first one, we'll just do a simple one, f of x minus 2. Okay, once again, we should be associating things via either thinking of them horizontally or vertically. Action on the inside is always horizontal, action on the outside is always vertical. Okay? So f of x minus 2, that's going to move things 2 to the right. And my notation for that, I usually just draw an arrow to the right and put a 2 above it. Okay, so that's going to affect my domain. The domain of this is negative 2 to 2, so if everything moves right, it's going to be 0 to 4. Okay, and then we just pick our points, and this is what that looks like. Okay, so you can compare those two graphs and see how they're similar. And then let's do another one. Let's do two of them at a time. Okay. So let's do f of x plus 1 minus 3. So this is going to be 1 left and 3 down. So this is going to affect domain and range. So domain-wise, what's going to happen? If I'm moving left 1, I'm going to go from negative 3 to 1. And then if I'm moving down 3, my range is minus 1 to 1. So if I'm moving down 3, I just subtract 3 from both of those. So that's going to be negative 1 to negative, or negative 4 to negative 1. Okay, so. Alright, and think about it this way. Look at where 0 is. And when you're doing this, you're moving your equilibrium of 0 down to 3 levels. Okay, so like, sometimes it helps me if I just sort of maybe draw a dotted line there at negative 3, and that's sort of where the equilibrium is supposed to be. Okay? Alright. So, I think I said from negative 4 to negative, well, it's negative 4 to negative 2. That should have said that. Okay. Oops. Forgot I was moving left. Alright, so that's what this one looks like. Okay, and let's throw everything in this time. We're going to do one last one. Negative 2 f of x minus 1 plus 2. Okay, so this has got a horizontal reflection, a stretch, which I didn't give you a symbol for that. That's what I like to use for stretch, and then moving right 1 and up 2. Okay, so the best way to think about these is to think about your stretching and reflecting first. Okay, so reflecting doesn't really change my domain, but multiplying by 2 on the outside means I'm stretching vertically, so that means my range is going to be minus 2 to 2. My domain, remember, that doesn't affect the domain at all, right, on the outside. This affects the domain. We're moving right 1. So instead of negative 2 to 2, I'm going to be going from negative 1 to 4. Okay. And then I'm moving up 2. So I probably should have drawn this a little bit bigger. So up 2. It's kind of messy, but I think we get the gist. So so our domain, the domain is from negative 1 to 4. So we already talked about, or 3, sorry. The range is going to be started off being minus 1 to 1, changed to minus 2 to 2, when we multiplied by 2, when we reflected, that doesn't change any. When we move it up 2, that's going to be 0 to 4. Okay? Alright, so we want to draw this thing upside down. We want to think about our equilibrium as being 2 there. Okay? And we know, if we draw it upside down, we know we're going to have something there. We're going to be at the maximum here. And then there. And then there. And there. So this is what all those do at one time. Now, I would suggest that if you're having trouble doing all of them at one time, try to focus on maybe a couple at a time. And if you're going to do that, always do the translations last. If you try to do them first, you'll just mess things up. So do the reflection and the dilation first, and then do the translation. It's a lot easier. Okay?